you. Well, let me start first by saying two things. Those of you in the back of the room won't appreciate the first thing that I'm saying, but Dan has some great socks up here. And those of you in the front, I see Bob looking at them. He's going to go buy some. The second thing I wanted to say is thank you very much for allowing me to the honor and privilege to come before you and really present the journey of all of the staff, employees, physicians, administrators that do work at Keck Medicine every day. I want to start by taking us back a little bit and understanding where we've been so that we know where we are. The story really starts in 2009 with the acquisition of Keck Hospital of USC and USC Norris Cancer Hospital. But if we really want a historical perspective, we can go all the way back to 1991 when Keck Hospital was first opened. It opened with one patient and about 500 staff. You can imagine that one patient got some really fantastic care. Over the next 18 or 19 years, you see that we have a nice, even glide path of patients, ultimately culminating in 2009 with about 8,000 inpatient admissions a year, more than 10,000 surgeries. But then, from the time that USC acquired the organizations to 2014, we've seen unprecedented growth. More than 50%. Our inpatients are more than 12,000. Our surgeries are almost 16,000. 2 weeks ago, on one day, we did 100 surgical cases. That would be an amazing local story, but this is more than a local story. This is actually, if you look comparatively in the nation, you won't find an organization growing in healthcare like we are during these turbulent times of healthcare reform. Our staff obviously went from 1,300, almost tripled to 3,300, and those staff are dedicated to transforming were community hospitals into academic medical centers. I want to spend the first part of my time talking about the patient experience because I think that's very important. What do patients expect? Dennis asked, what are the expectations? I think patients expect a lot of things. One thing you won't see that's on here that's a given is they expect a good clinical outcome. But beside that, they expect that when they call for an appointment, that somebody will answer the phone, or that they can go online and make appointments. They expect if they drive a car into our medical center that they're going to have a place to park or a valet service to take care of their car. They obviously expect the best treatment. They expect when they get the bill, they're going to understand the bill, and that they might get one bill for all the services that we have. And then I'm going to change that slide to follow-through now, Joe, because they don't want just follow-up, but they want follow-through. For me, the patient experience is really personal. I want to share a little story with you, actually, just so you can understand my perspective on the patient experience. So I would say in early 2009, I was part of a patient experience through my son who was sick, and he was getting chemotherapy for cancer. And we were at another hospital. USC did not treat children at the time. We still don't at Keck. But we were at another hospital, and it was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I got up to check my son, and I noticed that the bed was all wet. And I thought, that's funny. He doesn't wet the bed. He's 6 years old. And I looked, and I saw that his chemotherapy was actually disconnected when it was supposed to be infusing, and it infused into his bed. Okay? So I called the nurse. The nurse comes in, and I said, you need to get the doctor on the phone. We need to figure out what's going on with this chemotherapy. And she said something to the effect of, well, it's sort of the middle of the night. We can maybe take care of this in the morning. He's probably sleeping. And I didn't say anything, but the look on my face must have been something like, you don't want to do what to who, when? Because she looked at me and she said, just a second, let me get the nursing manager. So I got to speak to the nursing manager, and the nursing manager was wonderful. And actually, interestingly enough, I don't know if she's here, but we hired the nursing manager at Norris, okay, because she did such a great job. When I was appointed CEO, Tom Jakowitz, our Senior Vice President of Health, asked me to be the CEO of our 2 hospitals. At the time we have 2, now we have 3. And he said that he needed help to create and sustain a world-class medical center enterprise with engaged employees delivering an exceptional patient and family-centered experience. Did you know you said that, Tom? You said something very much like that, right? And so our work was clear. But here's where we were in 2012. This is important. We did a survey of our employee base because our employees are our people, and they're the ones that are going to deliver this care. And we compared ourselves nationally to more than 600 hospitals and health systems. And we showed up in the 7th percentile. That means 93% of other hospitals and health systems did a better job at partnering with their employees than we did. That was really eye-opening. So we came away from that with work to do on our organizational culture, but also a list of opportunities. And Dennis said I could only have 1 slide for opportunities, Dennis, so I limited it to these. We have opportunities, or now we're going to call them sacrifices, right, Joe? Because these are where we ask our patients to sacrifice. We ask them to sacrifice on scheduling, sometimes on communication, on parking, because we've added so many patients and so many employees that we're not able to keep up with the demand. We've asked them to sacrifice on the fact that they will get multiple bills, not all of which are right the first time or the second time. And we've asked them sometimes to sacrifice on our inability to communicate on next steps. So those are all things we're working on. All right, I want to spend a little bit of time in talking to you about how we're working on some of those things that we're actually working on. Because what do you do in an organization when you don't have the parking facilities? You're not equipped yet to handle the call volume. We get thousands of calls a day, tens of thousands of calls a month. And Capital Construction and Design is building us parking structure, right? But it doesn't go up in one day. So what are we left with? We're left with what we have, which is our people. And our people then become the heart of our service culture. Our employees are that heart, and from them we give them tools that they can use in order to engage our patients further. One of the tools that we give them to use are our known service standards, where we offer patients kind greetings and we notice their needs. And those needs can be needs of environment or needs of their patients that are expressed or unexpressed. And then we ask our employees to own that particular issue, okay? But not only own it, but to wow them. And then we want them to communicate about what the next steps are. So how do we take and redesign the Keck patient experience from the ground up, knowing where we started? We did that by first creating a patient experience department. So we have our wonderful patient experience department, many of which are in the front row, as they should be. And they're really charged with taking our patients and providing that experience that wows our patients, creating that staged, transformational event that Joe's referring to. I want to show you a quick video that has some of our employees and our physicians talking about what it means to create these wow patient experiences from their perspective.
I don't think we expect anything less than excellence.
There's always opportunities for improvement, and our goal is to seek those out and do the best we can to address those and continuing to work toward improving every day.
It is embedded in how we provide our care, how we teach, how we grow, how we interact with each other.
What makes us stand out is our people.
One of our best qualities that we have here is respect towards each other.
Teams that work together well are teams that respect each other, care about each other, and that makes the difference.
Everyone wants the same things at the end of the day, and that's really to deliver outstanding patient care.
We put our patients, all of our patients first, every day.
Our every day is our patients once in a lifetime.
That's the quality of care that we give here, day in and day out. It just doesn't always make the news and it's unspoken, but it happens here every day.
Just the other day we did a heart transplant on somebody who wasn't able to go home with their family. And then because we did that, they're able to see their son's graduation. I love being a part of that.
One of the things we want our patients to feel is known when they come into the Keck Medical Center.
That just makes my day, knowing that my department has such a huge impact in making that patient feel cared for.
If someone just started working here, I would tell them to put their heart first and really care for their patients as if they were their own family member.
And to work toward that common goal of providing excellent patient service and then recharging overnight and getting ready to do it all over again the next day.
So my favorite part of that video is Kathy Kirby. And I use her line all the time because Kathy Kirby's our director of critical care. And what she says in that video is that we have to remember that our everyday is a patient's once-in-a-lifetime experience. And I think that really motivates us and inspires us to really provide the best service that we can for our particular patients. So how do we set the stage for patients and their families? Our patient experience department has put together some wonderful things. You can see not everybody goes home with a dog. In fact, they don't go home with a dog, but we do have pet therapy, and those pets are able to come around and visit with patients, and the patients love it. We have spa-like services. We're going to get spa-like services, but we have spa-like services where people can get hair done, etc. We have, on occasion, by the way, given massages to people that have requested it. And we do have amenity kits as well, and our ability to check out iPads and other electronic devices to our patients. And so we start learning about our patients. And our hope is that if we learn about our patients and profile our patients, that the next time they come to our facility, we already know some of their likes. And so we can better anticipate their needs. So amenities are great, but to truly have a transformational experience, I think we need to connect all of these dots. So we have the continuum of care here, everything from referral to patient check-in, labs, etc., all the way to where they might recommend us for service. But at any point during that time, we can have a failure. Let me share one with you now. I normally don't like to share the failures, but this is something that happened about 1.5 years ago, where I got a letter from a patient, and it was actually not from the patient, but from the patient's daughter. And the patient's daughter was a nurse at another facility who had wanted to get her mother in to our facility for a particular procedure. And so she called our intake room and spoke with someone in intake and didn't have a good experience with that intake person. Ultimately, they had a difference of opinion of how that intake process should go. The patient's family had one expectation, and the employee had a different expectation. What was interesting is that was a referral from a referring provider, and that nurse called back to the referring provider and said, "I'd like to take my mother to another facility." And they said those dreaded words, right? What facility? UCLA, okay? As a 2-time graduate of USC, I really struggle with that. The letter that I got, though, was a complimentary letter, okay? So the first paragraph said, "I want to thank you for saving my mother's life during this procedure. The nurses were fantastic. The therapists were out of this world. Even the lab services, the sticks didn't hurt and the food tasted good." That was one paragraph. And then I got several pages about her interaction with the intake person. And then the last paragraph said, "I am so glad that that first person I talked to totally misrepresented your facility. That's not what you were about." So for us, we have to be a learning organization. We have to take those things that people tell us, and we have to learn from them and become better. Are we on the right path? The answer is yes, I think we are on the right path. So we've put a lot of things into place. And now when we recently, after 2 years, surveyed our employees, remember we were in the 7th percentile, now we're in the 40th percentile. So our employees are starting to feel like we're on the right path and we're doing the right things to create that experience for patients. But there's still much more to do. We want to make sure we continue to wow our patients and increase referrals. We want to make sure that we sustain the engaged workforce. And we want to now use lean to ensure efficient processes that benefit our patients. When we get it right, magic happens. I want to show you a video of the time we got it right.
You never rush to judgment when you're working a case. Radiation just scared the hell out of me, just point blank. It's like I told my wife, I'm not discounting it, I'm not saying no, I'm not saying I'll die rather than go through radiation. I want to know what I'm going to get into. I want to know what, if you get it, what are the side effects?
Mr. Enyart came to see me. He had had some high-risk features that were predictive of potential recurrence. He had had a rise in his PSA, which was also an early indication that he may have recurrence of his prostate cancer. Radiation therapy is used to prevent local recurrence.
I told her my wife had had breast cancer back in 1999-2000, and she had to have radiation down at Long Beach, and it destroyed her. It's tissue-wise, it's devastating.
And so we had to overcome me reassuring him that the kind of radiation he was going to get was very different and that the side effects profile would be very different. And that took a lot for him to overcome those memories of a bad experience.
I was by his side every step of the way, and we said if we are going to do it, we know one thing, we are going to USC. We will do it at Norris. That's just the way it's going to be. Because when I had my second treatment, initially I was treated somewhere else, and then I was treated at USC, I got the ultimate care. We said if ever anything ever happens to us in any kind of situation, this is where we'll be.
My radiation treatment started on May 15th, 2014, and ended on July 1st, 2014. I feel 125% better than I did before.
Russ came on one day and he told me that on the very last day there's a bell that you ring, and he saw one of the patients in there and she had a big basket and her family, and they ring this big bell, and he was not doing that.
My wife was going out to SC games with a girlfriend of hers who graduated from SC, and then I went to a couple games, and they got these little bugs out here and they bite you and you get the fever, and I got the fever.
I got to thinking about it, and I talked to my son about it, and I said, you know, Dad said this, he's almost done, because the boys every day were checking on how he was doing. And he goes, Mom, you know, it'd be really cool is if you could get Spirit of Troy to come out. There's nobody bigger fan than Dad.
I thought, yeah, that would be really loud, but I thought it was great. It was so fitting to who they are as a family and to what's, you know, important to them and all the football seasons that Russ will still get to enjoy.
So I clanged the bell, and all of a sudden I hear SC music. I'm standing there and I'm thinking, hey, that's kind of neat. They're playing it over the loudspeaker. And all of a sudden at the end of the hall comes the marching band. I'm in total shock.
And then he saw the boys and my friend, and he was like, oh, I guess this is for me. And it was just, couldn't have been better.
When I'm investigating a murder, I'm going full gusto out to get the guy, so he better watch out. And when Dr. Ballas is the doctor on a cancer patient, cancer better look out, because she's on the case.
I really feel that USC Norris healed Russ's cancer, and the Spirit of Troy healed his soul.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the beneficiaries of that wow in the middle of the room, Mr. Russ and Mrs. Mary Jo Enyart. Please stand and wave to the crowd. Thank you. Right on. So, absolutely. So in closing, I think the future of the Keck patient experience is a very bright one. But the days of academic medicine where people came to our facilities just because we provided the best outcome are long over. Today, the differentiator is truly going to be the experience they have when they arrive. Thank you.